Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mindforked. I am Akashi Chris, and it is a lovely Sunday. And I'm coming from Oklahoma, from Fort Towson. It's like in the middle of Bigfoot country. Chatters, if anybody can tell me if my audio is okay, because sometimes I have some trouble. And today, thank you. Today, I am so excited to be here because I've got a backstage full of people, so I don't want to take too much time. First of all, I want to thank Lee for Incognito. As always, I love that theme song. I am holding it hostage. It's blinking for help from the cops. I'm sure it wants to get back home, but I won't let it go. So I'm sorry, Lee. So he's backstage going, no. I'm going to say hi to Chad here in a minute, but I wanted to first bring in my panel. So why are we here today? So as I was working through, it's like different topics that I want to cover. We focus a lot on the things that we debunk and that we don't believe in. And sometimes we like dismiss stuff a little bit early. We fight, we love, we cry, we laugh, we argue over answers, yet we're still here. So even though it could be so freaking frustrating and exhausting, we're still here. So that got me going, start to think, it's like, what is it? What is it about ufology? What anchors me? You know, what is it that holds me here? Even though sometimes it could seem a little bit like a little crap show. And we all know that. It's just families, you know, it's just communities. We fight and we're just very passionate. So why we're here is literally the question of the day, is why we are here. And I am so excited to have the people that I have backstage coming with me. I attack this problem, I don't know much. Okay, but I attack this problem from a data-driven perspective. So I look at data, I look at the collective, I look at everything. All, you know, who's reporting, why are they reporting, where are they reporting, what are the facts, what are the papers to support this evidence, and this is kind of the approach that I'm taking. So that is why we're here today. And without further ado, I'm going to bring in my lovely, lovely panel, one at a time with proper introductions, because and I need to see who's here. I want to make sure that everybody's here. Yes, we got everybody represented. So first of all, I'm going to bring in my sister. My sister. She is a host of Alien Girl 111 and just overall bestie, and I love her. Amy! Amy's in the house. Amy's in the house.
I'm feeling it.
I'm so excited. Let me have a drink.
Yes. Oh, yes. Our diet sodas.
Hydrate. We are Diet Cook
love
sisters.
Diet soda.
We're Diet Cook sisters. So I see so many people in the chat that I'm excited to. And then one of the most beloved, respected people in this community, and another lovely person that I'm just happy to call my friend, Dorothy Hawkins, is in the house. Hi, Dorothy.
Hey guys, hi. This is so exciting. Woohoo!
Me too. I'm really excited. You're going to get mind forked and you're going to like it. I got Mindforked and I liked it. Okay, so next in line, let's see who we got. Um, there's a pair that's coming. I don't see one of them, but I'm going to introduce both of them because the other one is going to pop in anytime now. So we got my buddies from Project Starlight and from Spaced Out Radio. I've got Tim Seanor, and in a bit, Tim, what is the status on? I've got Cosmic Counselor Terry Hall. That's what I'm trying to get a hold of. How do we have any stats on any visuals on Terry?
I'm in a no response situation with him, unfortunately.
Okay.
So
Okay,
when I go mute, I'll call him.
No problem. I'm good. So, but we have one more that's back there. And he is our resident rock star and musician, and one that supports us all in so many ways. And he is here, and he is here to share some stuff. Legends in the audio, buddy.
Jason
All
Lentelman. How lovely to see you,
So
Dorothy. Hi, Tim.
excited.
Hi, Amy. Hello,
Hey.
I
Akashi
am
Chris.
so excited. Hi. I am so excited. And with that,
I am armed and ready.
I'm going to keep watching for Terry in case he pops up. But before we get started, I want to say hi to chat, and we have one more item to cover. So, chatters, so many lovely people are in the house. Maddie, Second Star Survival's in the house. Matt is so lovely. My husband Stuart is modding today, and he's over there in the bedroom. And Rebellion's on. No, Lenny's our sister, and we all have a connection because like 3 of us on the screen, and Terry will be the 4th, have met in person and with Lynn. And Simon Dogface Boy is here. I keep calling you Dogface Boy because that used to be your name, so you're stuck with that with me. And then Timmy Freestone is going to keep going. John P. Adventures is here. I'm so happy. And then my sister, Forensic Mystics. You guys, it's such a great channel. Cassie is amazing. She has the voice of an angel, and she inspires me every single day.
I second that.
And I love her. And so please check out that channel because she's just a wonderful person, similar to the people that are on screen today. And then we got Angel Wings. Hi, Angel Wings. And I think that's catching us up. Forensic Mystics, and of course, everybody. Oh, Shelly Montgomery. Hi. Shelly.
Shelley.
Tale of Shelly's. And Rob Wood is here. Hi. I am so excited. Okay, so that kind of catches us up. So, what are we going to do today? So, let me make sure nobody's backstage. No, we got no. Okay, so what are we going to do today? First of all, do you have your forks, panelists? Present your forks.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't have any sound effects today, but this is
I just did it for you.
Thank you. Lee's going to be doing sound effects for me as I go along. So the reason for the fork, this is a panel. So, and me being like an IT person, I'm like, oh, I got to run and figure out everybody. Oh, and he's got plastic fork over here. That
I know, I noticed that.
we got tuning forks, we got eating forks, we got all kinds of forks. And Forky here will be moderating, we'll be watching for who has the fork. The point of the fork is, first of all, so how we're going to do this. Each one of us is going to talk about their experience. Back to the question, why are we here? What cases? Is there a case that does it? Is it your personal experience? Is it the community? It could be so many different things. It's just my favorite UFO. And the thing about it is unidentified. So you identify it as you go along. So we're going to kind of take turns. And I'm going to go first. That way we can kind of see how this is going to flow because it's all in my head. And then as each person presents their case, and by the way, Amy and Dorothy, I've prepared a little piece for intro for your cases. Thank you so much. Lee has given me some video, and Tim has also provided some video. So this is going to be a real meaty afternoon. So, so the point is, after the person presents, you raise your fork, you got the fork. That means you have the floor to speak. the fork. So that is the fork. So let's do it that way. That way we don't talk over each other, because there's so many good stories in here, and I want to make sure that everybody gets their time. And I'm just super excited. So I'm going to go ahead and get going, and I'm going to present my case. So, and I'm going to present my case with something a little different, because it's Mindforked. This is not a regular panel. So I don't know if you guys can hear this.
Yep.
I am going to present my favorite case. And do you know what my favorite case is? Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, 2013. So we're going to salsa, because this is going to be good. This is going to be so awesome. I'm going to stop the sound now, because although it's really cool and I kind of dig it, I get a little too into it, because I start literally, like, I know how to salsa. I'll do it all day long. So there's so many interesting things about this case. And I'm going to play the video of Aguadilla 2013 here in a minute. Oh my God, Elena! Elena's in the house.
She is.
Elena.
Hi, Elena. I hope you're feeling
I
better.
want to say hi to Elena. Thank you so much, honey, for dropping by. We're so excited that you're here. Love you. Mwah. Okay. So why Aguadilla 2013? First of all, I'm from Puerto Rico. So I lived these streets. I'm going to show the video where this thing happened. After, obviously, looking at the video, I'm just like, Aguadilla. You know, I went to Arecibo every weekend, very much, when I was in Puerto Rico. So, you know, I lived there until I was 17. So Aguadilla 2013 case came along, and I remember it's like one of the first shows that I was on. I was asking Louis Lizondo. I got my super chat in, and it was about Aguadilla 2013. And my husband's like, oh, he's not going to know that. Doesn't have anything to do with ATIP or cases, but he knew. He was very familiar with the case, which I thought was interesting. Then forward to Vernal, where you got Travis Taylor, Amy, and Tim. Remember, he did the presentation on Gimbal. He did all that stuff. And then at the end, what did he cover? Aguadilla 2013 as like a next project that they were going to be working on. Oh my God, I think I got Terry here. Hold on, guys. Terry's in the house.
Hello.
Hi, Terry. Hi, darling.
Sorry about that. I had some internet troubles. How is everybody today?
No problem. We're so glad you're here. We're chilling. And make sure you got your fork, because that is a raise your hand line. Like, this is going to be the way that you like get to talk. You can shake your fork and you'll be recognized by Forky. Speak. I'm just kidding. I'm just being really, I am in a mood for a melody, but I'm also in the mood for this panel because I'm so excited about it. So back to
over here, but I guess we don't.
I'm sorry, what?
Said I thought we had some forks in the drawer over there, but I guess we don't. But I've got scissors, so I'll use those.
I will take scissors, because you can probably mind fork with scissors as well. That'd be kind of creepy. But that's okay. So Aguadilla 2013. Why is Aguadilla 2013 special to me? Number one, because it is Puerto Rico. Number two, because the more you read into this and you actually read the stuff that Rich Hoffman had published, the actual paper, you know, people tend to take other people's opinions and just roll with it. So I'm going to show this because there's several points, and I'm just going to kind of, it's on mute. Hopefully I don't get hosed for this, but this is the entire video. This is over Rafael Hernandez Airport. So the thing about this, I don't know if you can see it, but it was, by the way, I'm so excited. I got a new notebook. Remember, Amy, I had a notebook. Now I have a bigger notebook. And it's so
beautiful.
Awesome.
I have mine as well.
You gotta have your
2013. I think I got the right
yes,
date.
yes. April 25th, 2013. So the guys that were looking for like all the drug smuggling, they're taking off. They see a pink light. They actually saw it visually as a pink light. I don't know. I went to the beginning. They saw it as a big light coming from the ocean. So it's actually coming from the ocean, and there was 2 more craft identified at the time. This is covered on radar. So it was spotted on radar, and then they turned on their infrared because they saw it visually, and then the light went away. When the light went away, the airport shut down its departures, which, by the way, if you're in Puerto Rico and these airports, I mean, this is 9 p.m. It gets crazy. They don't just shut down just for some freaking floating balloon. I mean, this thing was tracked, and then it was visually, the guy was using the infrared to try to lock in on it, but he never did. So this object comes in from the ocean, goes through the airport. You will see it go over like all the cars and stuff. The speeds, the reports are a little bit different. Like, there's some that quote that this was going 1,000 miles an hour. I'm not sure. But when you visually look at the background, I know that the height makes a difference. It also goes like behind certain trees, based on all the reports and based on the paper that was published by Explorer SC. It was Rich Hoffman. So it maintains its momentum. So it comes in from the ocean, it goes through the airport, and then it goes back out towards the ocean. If you look at the house's observations on my side, by the way, when you're in Puerto Rico, you don't drive slow. Okay, you'll see cars going behind this, and I know that the height makes a difference, but these people, first of all, they don't ever look away from the streets because it's dangerous, because we drive like crazy, and we all admit it, and it's totally okay. Secondly, the cars look like they're going really slow on the video, and they're usually not. It's 9 p.m. These people are partying, they're going. This, like, we're out late, just historically. The way this is going over the airport right now, I don't know if you can see it. I mean, this airport, this is where it's actually, I think, going over the houses. Look at that. And then do you see the traffic there? That traffic's actually going a lot faster than that. I know that for sure, because we don't take our time. And it actually looks like it tumbles. The other observation said the heat signature is going to always show dark. And this thing, when it actually zooms in, that only lasts about 5 minutes, you'll see it kind of tumbling, and you'll see different colors in the object itself. Now, the craziest thing about this one, of course, is what's about to come up, is that it looks to go underwater. Look at the heat signature there. So you see it's solid, it's pretty black. It's going underwater. It does not lose momentum. Based on the studies, and they broke this up into 7,027 individual frames to evaluate it. It does not seem to lose momentum. It seems to break up. They have questioned whether this is gravitational lensing or what, but it doesn't seem to be, because both have heat signatures when it breaks up, and it's going to get to that point here in a minute, because they kept the plane that was capturing this, there it is. The plane that was capturing kept circling around and watching. And then later on, in another video, you see the next plane that takes off once this thing goes back into the ocean. So between heat signatures, the speed, all the research that's been done, I mean, and the fact that back in Vernal, Travis Taylor was already part of the UAP task force. He went all in on gimbal and all that stuff, and then after, right on the way out, he presents this. When I asked the question, this is the plane now that's finally leaving, that end of the video. At this point, they've lost it from visual. So this is just them trying to find it again visually and try to hone in on it. I'm sorry, they were never able to lock in, so you can't tell the measurements. The metadata doesn't show because they were never able to lock it. So it's just a visual that they kept following. What was the other thing on this? I mean, this seems to be the fact that Travis Taylor talked about it, UAP task force, but then I got up and I asked a question about it, and I asked if it was caught on radar, and he said no. Then somebody on the way out said, actually, he made a mistake, and I knew the answer. He made a mistake. It was caught on radar. It stopped all the traffic at Rafael Hernandez Airport. And I mean, that's something to be said. So I'm gonna open up. This is my presentation of Aguadilla 2013. I love it. it keeps me grounded for some reason. So I'm going to open up the floor to the next forker. Who wants to talk about this one? Anybody got opinions? There we go. Plastic fork number one. Tim.
Yeah.
Forky recognizes Tim Seanor. You got the fork.
I love it. Hi, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here, by the way. Thanks for the invite. And it's nice to meet some new faces. Dorothy, it's nice to meet you. And,
Nice to meet you too.
Terry, good to see you crept out of your crypt. So what I wanted to bring forward here was the fact that SCU determined this and confirmed this to be UAP, which I thought was massive. And I was surprised that it didn't hit more headlines, to be honest. But in particular, they came out with also responses to direct counter analysis that had been done both publicly and privately. And so, for example, there was the Lianza paper that argued the object was Chinese lanterns or party lanterns. And so SU came out specifically with a paper with a hypothesis rebuttal, to disprove that, which they definitely did, which I don't need to get into too much detail, but this was part of their analysis.
I read that one too.
Getting to the UAP, and then the other was the balloon alternative hypothesis, which I felt needed to be addressed, although personally I didn't see how it could possibly be balloon. But they did a full report on how it couldn't be and how their analysis showed that in response. Now, one possibility that I didn't see addressed through SCU directly was the possibility of a drone, and the fact that drones do, and if it is something smuggling, perhaps it would be landed and left in the water potentially for somebody to go and retrieve later. That is typical. So we can't completely discount this, but this is definitely one of those cases that was considered absolutely within the 5% of true UFO, which I think is so important, that we get that out there, because these are the cases that are going to be scrutinized the most. And so we got to make them good.
Yeah,
so
I know.
This is a good one.
But I was watching something from Rich Hoffman on the drone piece, because technically if that object hit in the belief to be 100 miles an hour, there would have been some damage, and there was no stopping. And it would have to be such a strong piece of technology to hit at 100 miles an hour and then split. I mean, they probably didn't go down that path, because what technology do we have currently that just self-replicates at will underwater, continues? Anyway, anybody else? Who wants? Anybody? Aguadita? Thoughts? Forkers? And the floor recognizes Dorothy Hawkins. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Well, I'm wondering if it did split apart and it wasn't smashed, if that indicated advanced materials that we don't know how to make yet. Obviously, the USOs are very concerning, because evidently they're clocked at incredible speeds underwater. I was wondering what you thought of all that.
I mean, if it goes under the water and then it winds up splitting apart, I just, something in here doesn't make any sense. I don't think we got the technology that could wind up splitting. There was heat signatures on both. So it wasn't like some kind of gravitational lensing view of it. It looked to be physically two objects. But the other one actually disappeared under the water. I go kind of further back of it came from the water to begin with. That's where they saw the original sighting. They saw it in the water, and then it came, and then it went back out into the water. This makes no sense. I mean, what type of, and maybe I'm not understanding your question right, Dorothy, but I'm just kind of, I got pretzel in the head over this case.
Well, the idea that I didn't realize, maybe I missed that little bit, that it came from the water and then went back into the water. There are stories in ancient lore of people being abducted from the beach, being gone for 2-3 years, then they're coming back, and it's more women than men, but men are also taken and they come back. They're usually very quiet about their experience, but this one author, Paul Wallace, he had a friend of their family that this happened to. He found all these weird synchronicities in his own family life that he had no idea of. And but he's tracking all these ancestral stories, and it's the same way around the world. It's like, yeah, they're under the water and they've been there for millennia. They have whatever ways that they do underwater. That's just
I mean,
I'm
U.S.
hearing
also
from
becoming.
ancestral stuff.
Isn't that kind of why we're renaming it? Because we can't say aerial, we can't say interdimensional. We just like now we can't say underwater. It's like it's all, or I mean, it's any combination. Terry, Hall, and Amy, do you guys want to pipe in on this one? Anyone?
I'm actually a drone pilot. I'm actually Tim's drone pilot. So and I read about this stuff all the time, and we actually have an inside guy in the government who's basically stated that was a UFO. It doesn't fit any of the characteristics that our quote unquote inside guy has given us that would point to it being terrestrial technology. So I'm 100% in on this one. I'm with you. This is a UFO.
Amy, darling, thank you, Terry. Amy, Forky
Yes.
recognizes you.
This was intense because I remember when they presented this, right, when we were in Vernal, right, guys, we all saw them present this, and so right off the bat, it's the underwater component, it's the underwater thing, right, because it correlates with what we're hearing of what some of these UAP that the government's finding, right? So they go underwater, and when you hear that, that's beyond the technology that we know right now. Like, that is not technology that's known to the public, that you have craft that can go super fast underwater. And that's stuff that the government has kind of identified, I think, somewhere, that these objects that are UAP guys that we're seeing, they can go underwater, but they could also be human. They always, that's kind of how they're framing it now. Like, yeah, they could do this and that super fast underwater, but they're they're still, it's just like now it's just constant drones from them. So the underwater component is huge because according to the US government, they don't even know what this underwater stuff is. So
it's like, who has it? If somebody has it, we're in trouble. But
it was found on radar, which is huge.
Yeah. One point to that, there was multiple FOIAs on this. The FOIA for the information, and Lee's coming next. I'm seeing the fork. You're coming next, Lee. The FOIA for from the military plane. So there was a military plane in the area. The FOIA for that data was denied. The other one was approved, which led to some of the video to come out. But then somebody leaked the entire video. So it's like there's something to this case, and he's eating the fork. So I am recognizing Lee G, please.
It took so long, I forgot my point. That's why I ate my brain. I ate my brain because my point was about 20 minutes ago.
It's old timers disease, Lee.
Yeah, that's what it is called, old timers syndrome.
I'm older.
The thing is, whenever I see these things and people, we don't know how to to deal with it. We don't know what any clandestine people. I mean, they could be 50 to 100 years ahead of anything that we know, and that's where I have a problem with the old, we don't know if we've got materials that can do the in and out of water thing, or if we've got propulsion systems that can do that. Because at the end of the day, we don't know hardly anything of what even the army get together and create on the quiet. When we do find out, it's been in the, for instance, when we found out about the Blackbird and things like that, it had already been flying 50 years before we even knew about it. People saw these things in the sky, but they never, they never admitted these things. Well, what could be the difference? At the end of the day, what if they have? I mean, they've got nanotech, right? You can create nanofibers and things like that. From from carbon, then you can build nanotubes and make it into into materials and stuff. I mean, how do we know that they haven't got, for instance, nanobots that can regrow parts that are broken as they're broken? You don't know what the level of technology is, and that, I think, holds us back in our thinking processes with all of these sort of things.
But we got to think holistically. This is 2013, and I know that 2013 doesn't sound like that long ago. But when you even the perspectives of your phone, how far has your phone gone?
As far as I'm concerned, right, this is why I've always looked at technology like this, right? Mm-hmm. We got given the phones and this technology, okay? As far as I'm concerned, if technology like that is available to the everyday man, then how far forward are they in technology? Because if that's what you call throwaway technology when they give it to the masses. So anything that we get as civilians and as nobodies, as people, the useless eaters, anything that we're given, they don't care about. And they're far in advance of it, because you wouldn't have it, because they could use those things for their technology that they need for clandestine operations and stuff. You have to think a little bit, I think, more on a bigger scale of what we think we know.
Yeah,
there could be scientists that are so far ahead of that, and they've got materials and materials.
I want to get to Lynn's comment. Hold on, I want to get to Lynn's comment. Lynn, Chris, sorry. I'm looking at the time, and I know that there's a ton of cases that we want to cover. I want to make sure we don't run out of time. And this is an interactive show with the chat. So we definitely have publicly known tech that can go from underwater to air. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they had classified tech that could go from air to water to air. Very, very possible. I was just bringing up the fact that we're still, from a perspective, we're talking about 10 years ago, and it just doesn't seem like much, but when you look at just basic things around you, 10 years has made a huge difference in the technology that we have. I mean, very possibly that they were way ahead back then. So
think about this. Mm-hmm. From the time that the airplane was invented to now, how many years is it?
I can't remember, but I'm sure you know that number better than me. But it hasn't been that long.
It's nothing.
It hasn't been that long, but I understand. So, okay, so we're moving on to our next case, shall we? Any other thoughts on Aguadilla before we go to Amy, who's going to cover? I'm going to play something to get us inspired, because we have Lee here, and I've been looking at some of his music, and I wanted to kind of pick the right songs to go with the right cases. So I'm going to play something for a second. Let me make sure it's the right one here. Yes. So Amy is going to cover aerial school. So I'm going to add this in. Let me know if you hear it.
Five by five.
And thank you, Lee, for, I was going through his instrumentals, and I personally thought another statistic, not only was the right song, but it's a sad title, but it matches. So Amy, take it away on what your thoughts are on this case. Let me switch you over here. Hold on. Here we go.
Yeah. So first off, great job, Lee, and great job, Chris. I got a little emotional there. and it reminds me why I can't shake the aerial school off. It's because the children are grown up now, right? And they say the same things. Like, when you look at those pictures, and, John Mack went down there, and a MUFON investigator went down there right away. And the MUFON, it actually wasn't really John Mack. It was the MUFON investigator who came like a day later and said, draw this out, kids. And everything was matching. I mean, I know there's deviations, but these are children. It's not deviations like, here's an ear of corn and here's a flying saucer. Those weren't the deviations in the drawing between all of them. They all had trees. They all had a vehicle or a structure, a vehicle. They all have entities. Not all of them. Some of them only have entities, which makes you realize the only thing from this child's experience that they remember were these entities. Whatever they put in front of that child with a piece of paper that they put on there was what came across to them as being the most big thing. Because you showed one where there was no craft, right? And people would say, well, if they didn't draw this, well, maybe because seeing an alien, maybe that's what they really thought they should be showing everybody what they saw. Because, the craft, not a big deal. They're like, okay, I've seen those on TV, but this is straight up an alien from another planet. Okay. And then you have how the feed of information goes. And thank you so much for letting me come on and talk about this. I love to get this stuff out. And this is all great because we're bouncing off all this stuff. Because I don't think I can shake off the aerial school. And here's another reason why. And because it has to do with how the information came out. So the pictures went everywhere. John Mack, the Harvard psychologist, was into it. He was like, what's going on right after, right? And he flew right down there to go meet all the kids and talk to them. And some of the debunkers say, he influenced them to talk about it. I don't think so. I really don't think so. And so that information gathered, and then the news started coming in, right? The news sources. And this really reputable journalist, and he was in the Aerial School movie, really reputable journalist, talked about how, I want to say he worked at the Associated Press, which is, that's like the new, no BS, like you report the fact. That's what they do at Associated Press. They train, the journalists do not. It's just it's supposed to be the most concrete fact after fact. Like, it's really great, right? Because, and so he sent this stuff to the AP or something like that. I don't really know if the AP was involved, but I'm just saying there was a news organization that he was working with, and he sent them and he said, there's 85 witnesses to seeing this craft, this testimony. And I think this is something. And then they wrote back to him something like, haha, aliens. We're not going to do it, right? Not going to ruin, the producer's like, not going to ruin my reputation. We're not going to talk about aliens. Like, I have things that I need to accomplish. That's the decision making in the producer's mind, who doesn't want to put this on the news station. It's not going to help me anywhere with my career. We're just going to be up against a bunch of ridicule. No one's going to jump onto this, right? And so I see that information coming out, and them saying no to the information, and even putting, like, they wrote somewhere like, haha, aliens, to say that they didn't want to put this on the news.
No.
And then, yeah.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. No, I love it. Keep going. No. I want you to keep going. This is great. I'm actually looking at the chat going, oh my gosh, keep going. Yeah, this is cool. I just want to make sure, do we need to baseline aerial school? Dorothy had a good point. For the chat, does Amy need to kind of regroup?
Yeah, I could do that. I didn't know. I thought we were all deep divers here, but
I know, right? We're like, but I thought so too, but then Dorothy brought that up, and I'm like, let's make sure, chatters, if anybody needs to regroup, Amy will be happy to give it, because Amy's been, that's why we brought this up, because you've been so passionate about the children, about they've thrown Rastafarians out there. Keep telling me. They want to baseline it for them.
Just tell it real quick. I got the Wikipedia thing. I can do this real professional.
Go for it.
On September 16th, 1994, there was a UFO sighting in Zimbabwe. 62 students saw it. They were between the ages of 6 and 12, and they claimed that they saw one or more, right, silver craft from the sky near their school. One or more of the creatures was dressed in black that approached the children and telepathically communicated to them in a message with an environmental theme. Quote from Wikipedia.com, which isn't a good source, but hey, we'll go with it right now.
One of the things that it said, I remember this because we were talking about this backstage earlier. It's like one of the things that I think one of the messages that they got from the beings was some kind of warning about technology, which I find really interesting because, you know, we always talk about technology has made us so dependent that, you know, it's almost like we don't think anymore. We're turning into Wall-E. Keep going, Amy. Sorry, I didn't even pick up the fork.
No, I could go on. I could go on forever. I think this is just one I can't shake off. And I like jumping in the debunks. I think they're fun. I'll go with it. I'll be like, oh, that makes sense. And so the only debunk that slightly makes any sense, but not really, is there was this theory that some puppeteers came in and they had some puppets that kind of, they looked like people. And we think the children just saw the puppeteers show up with the truck and they had their puppets out and then they took the puppets back into the
convenient.
Truck and they left. And I was like,
convenient.
I guess that's
always something.
Like that's the best one they have. Like I'm really into seeing what the other peeps have. And like that's the best they got, like honestly, for that one.
I'm gonna add this.
I'm not gonna go with puppets.
Hold on. I'm going to pause this for a second, but you see the picture at the bottom? Like, I don't, because I have it paused, you can't see, but all of the drawings that the kids did had those little circles and the divots were found in the field. The divots, they're all in the drawings. Like at the bottom, you can see like let me silence that way it doesn't play the music, but it's like, they're all you see the little divots at the bottom of the ship, like the legs, they all drew that and they found that physical evidence on the field. So back to you. Who wants? Discuss. Aerial school. Ooh, Dorothy's got the fork. You've been recognized.
Oh, thank you. I don't know how many of you track this fact about the aerial school phenomenon, but it occurred to the children of diplomats and military people who were going to a very special boarding school. And that kind of leads me into the whole thing of, okay, this whole disclosure deal maybe has been going on so much longer that it's even been going on to children, many years ago, and then other children and other adults in the far distant past. It's like slow revelation that things aren't as you've been told, I thought that was an interesting factoid.
I love it.
The population that this happened to, the children that it happened to. Because I'm the daughter of a military guy from the Air Force in World War II. And so, I had my own experience and it was all it was relevant to me because it was very much based in my own sense of the world, given that I'm a military pilot's daughter. So that's all.
Well, you also have a teacher's perspective. How hard is it to get all these kids to align on a single vision that's so similar in such a fast period of time? Unless they're saying that it was all staged. Everybody told them it's like
kids are so wide open to an experience that they had no reason to lie about it, although the idea of sensationalizing it over time is very true with children. That's all I can tell you. We played a game called Queen Caroline, and we did this little rhyme and we whispered it in the first guy's ear all the way around the circle, and by the time it got to the end of the circle, it was nothing like the original poem.
We called it Chinese whispers.
Game of telephone. But they got there early and they were very thorough for what they knew about how to do that kind of research. Perhaps their schedule wouldn't allow for a more complete thing that was just more or less a cursory overview of what had happened, and then take the data back over to Harvard where he was, where John Mack was, and analyze it there, and then come back later if they get more funding to do it or something. I don't know what their time constraints were on doing this research.
I just think it's easy to dismiss children, and so for them to say it's kids' imagination and that, it's very easy to do that, and and to say kids have got a wild imagination, they saw puppets. I mean, what a pathetic thing to say, as if someone was coming to the school in South Africa to bring these puppets in to do this. No, they'd have had records of, what it's like in the school, Dorothy. You worked in the school. If you arranged to go to a school to do a puppet show or something, there'd be record of it. There'd have been record of them
You have to
searching
do
them
it
out and stuff.
months in advance.
Absolutely. If not a year, because it'd have been planned, the parents would know, there'd be letters sent out, blah, blah, blah. There'd be record of it. That sort of thing just really annoys me, because people jump on that straight away and say, wow, they're kids, aren't they? And, there was a puppet show. And look, that is exactly what is always done, is crap, basically.
Yeah, it's sketchy
to add to the
reasoning on that
quagmire.
one.
Let's just throw a load of crap up in the air and see what sticks.
So, Tim and Terry, do you guys have thoughts? I want to hear from Tim and Terry, Project Starlight. What are you guys' thoughts on Ariel School? You have who wants to take the fork? There we go.
If I'm recalling correctly, it wasn't just the kids. As it turned out, years later, I believe it was the English teacher said that he was threatened with his job if he came forward with the information on this.
The teacher saw it, and did they take pictures, or is that the other case that they took their Did anybody take any pictures and it was taken away? There was 2 school incidents. I think that was on the other one. But teachers saw it. Remember, there was one that the teachers took a picture and then they took the film away from them. But I think that's the other one, not the aerial.
This one, they threatened to not only take the guy's career away from him, but basically make him a laughing stock. They said that they were, if I remember correctly, they said that he said that whoever approached him was going to ruin him, saying he was a drunkard, and that would have taken his career away from him. And
it's crazy, the intimidation. Tim, please.
Yeah, the part that I found really interesting that I discovered when I was looking into this, that actually wasn't even in the Phenomenon movie, the Aerial Phenomenon that recently came out. There was a part that I found in my research here that says that some of the students thought that the figures were something called Zvikwambo, which are spirits of humans raised by magic, or possibly the Tokoloshi, who is an evil goblin, like creatures of the Shona and folklore. And so Hind, the UFO investigator, believed that brought credibility to their stories, because the different interpretations accompanied by the similar drawings of the descriptions gave more credibility to the idea that the children had seen a similar event and were trying to put it into a perspective that they could understand.
I'm on mute. I just want to make sure I didn't vape over you. No, I mean, this case is fascinating in so many ways. So many witnesses. They've thrown everything but the kitchen sink, the Rastafarians, the puppets, that doesn't explain the divots. That doesn't explain. I mean, there's so many things that are not explained, but you throw a bunch of stuff at it and make it all muddy, and people just start to go, oh, okay, debunked. I don't buy into it. So, any other thoughts before we move on to the next case presented by Dorothy Hawkins? We good? Okay. Before Dorothy, I'm going to do a little blurb. I also put together a little. Ooh, Dorothy went pixel. Look at that. Does everybody see Dorothy pixelated? Is it just me?
No.
Oh, okay. It was just me. I was like,
did I turn into a pixie?
You turned into a pixie. My screen, everybody was fine, and you were like pixelated Dorothy. Like, anyway, so I'm going to play something real quick. Yes, we are going to present. Dorothy is going to be talking about Roswell. So I picked a little piece from Lee's Instrumentals to present this case. So here we go. And we're back. Dorothy. So we're here to talk. Let's talk about Roswell. And I picked newspaper clippings for a reason. All my pieces are purposeful. Newspaper
Wonderful.
clippings seem to be the most honest thing we've got of our past. They
True.
can't tweak it. They got printed, and that headline is the most honest
Until
headline
nowadays.
I've ever seen. Until now. Now it's all bad. But Dorothy, take us away.
Okay. I'm interested in this case particularly because of my father's involvement in World War II. It was very close, in time to that whole thing. And I also have a family history mystery, why some general ended up in our family history who's not related to us. The only connection is he's from my dad's hometown. Okay. But in 1945, the Second World War ended. But everybody was on still a war path and a war mentality. We're getting attacked, and this and that. And it struck me as I was reading this Washington Post article about it, that how terms seem to enter our collective consciousness through things that people say once and then somebody else repeats it. So in 1945, George Orwell coined the term Cold War in an essay that he did. And then it was repeated by an advisor to Harry Truman, Bernard Baruch, in a speech he gave in spring of 1947. So everybody's kind of like on this real fear mentality because we've just been through a war, right? And then the Oxford Dictionary noted that the term flying saucers was coming into the parlance of America on June 24th, 1947. And hysteria broke out as 800 reports of flying saucers came in after Kenneth Arnold had his sighting. And so UFO mania was born before Roswell happened. The timeline is interesting and how quickly things change. So Matt Brazel's out on his ranch, right? And he's the guy who actually found the debris. And I thought that the date he found it was actually on July 4th of 1947. Not 100% sure because I didn't look at that little part of the factoid, but the timeline of what happened next is telling because it has to do with the newspapers that were running. And he had no radio and no newspaper out there on his ranch. He just noticed, the debris, and he picked it up, and he didn't think much about it. He just took it back to his house. And on Saturday, July 5th, he went for a Saturday night in this little town close by called Concord. And this is when he first started hearing about all this flying saucer stuff, and all these people are going, flying saucers, from Kenneth Arnold sighting, right? So on Monday, July 7th, he decided that he started rethinking this debris that he found on his ranch. And so on July 7th, Monday, after going to Concord on Saturday, he drove his debris into town to tell the officials about what he found. And so the sheriff goes out to Brazel's ranch and calls the military in. The debris sent to Fort Worth in Texas, and crashed weather balloon. They're the ones who floated the story of the crashed weather balloon. But before it got to Roswell, that news about it being a crashed weather balloon, the New Mexico base put out a news release regarding flying saucers. Okay, so the disinformation or misinformation, the miscommunication, the lack of speed. Aren't we glad we have the internet now? Okay, so
Yeah.
Lieutenant Walter Hout, he was the Roswell Public Information Officer. He claimed that his base commander, Colonel William Blanchard, ordered him to use the flying saucer description. Okay, that was an order from his commander. But the story ran, a few days, and the thing of it was, there were two newspapers in Roswell. There was the Roswell Daily Record that came out in the evening, but there was also the Roswell Daily Dispatch from, I think, 1928 to 1950. And Barbara Perkins, I believe is her name, who publishes the Roswell Daily Record, said her family used to own they published the Daily Record, and they used to own the Morning Dispatch or whatever it was called. And they found this cache within the confines of the old files at the Daily Record. And that's where they're getting this additional information that's coming in as of late about how it all went down. But I thought it was interesting how these terms came into our consciousness, and they're still here with us. We have leftover terms from 1947.
A flying saucer. Think about it. Nobody even uses the word saucer. Who uses the word saucer these days in casual conversation? It's like a little.
But the mania was born in so many people after these sightings, and there were more sightings continually going on with these things.
We have a question. We have a question from chat.
Wasn't it because someone said wasn't it because someone said that they look like saucers skipping across a pond? And that's where the flying saucers
said about his sighting.
Yeah.
And that's, I imagine then we credit Kenneth Arnold for coining the term flying saucers. Or the guy
more like boomerangs, how he dressed, how he or how they would describe. They look like boomerangs, didn't they, sort of thing?
Right.
But they look a lot like, the original drawings of Kenneth Arnold look so much like, the videos that we saw, not so long ago. They have that little curve with the, the shape is the same. Tim, Terry, pipe in on this. Roswell's such a, that's the OG right there. That's one that, you saw the headlines. The headlines don't lie. Something was seen, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's just turn back time.
Next day they changed it, didn't they? Yeah.
They changed it, and they changed it, and then you show the headlines. The people were intimidated. The people were told, civil rights they had to break them. This is not right.
They just came out of a war. Everybody's, we're all marching in one direction kind of mentality here. They haven't stood down from war yet. Okay, how horrific was that war? That all these people are still on war, and the threats are real around the world.
What always got me about the Roswell incident was that was a 509th bombing group. Those guys were trained above and beyond anybody else in the military at the time. It was the only nuclear capable squadron on planet Earth. If anybody knew what a UFO looked like, if anybody knew what the material that came out of that was not military, they knew for a fact that wasn't a military craft. That was the most highly decorated at the time and highly trained part of the military. And if those guys said it was a UFO and stood behind it, years and years and years later, I'd have to lead credence in the saying they knew exactly what they were talking about.
Yeah, the guy behind the original article, I mean, everybody said that if he said it, it was real. This was not a guy that would just mess around. The source was real. Tim, tell us what your thoughts too.
I mean, this was such a critical case, wasn't it? And it's been pivotal in this community. Everyone always goes back to this case. But, I mean, you have to consider the fact that Colonel Corso came out and talked about bodies. And then even recently, Ramirez has come out and talked about the possibility that he had information and been read in even potentially on the truth. And so Ramirez being a CIA operative, getting information that at some point around the end of World War II, in fact, Dorothy, somehow the alien genome became blended into human DNA. And so they're seeing something that is a big question mark now, and they're relating it back to them. And it's been in the news a little bit lately here and there. It's definitely controversial. But I'm interested to think that could it possibly be that we still have remnant DNA from literally the Roswell crash in some of our human beings now? It's
Oh,
a mind
sure.
blower.
May I add one more thing? I've posted links to these articles on my Twitter, and we can put that link in the description later, right, Chris?
Yeah, we're going to put everything that you guys want to put out there because we have so many different topics and
Right.
there's so many good resources. So send me everything and I'm going to put it in the description because these are fascinating. So Tommy G had a quick question about the Los Alamos crash, but we can carry that one on. I mean, that's a totally different because that's another case. But I want to also hear from Miss Amy, who's got this is her backyard. What do
Yes.
you have to say?
It is the OG. It's 100% the OG. They came out and they said it. And then they tried to take it back. And you just can't do that. Just like you can't be President Eisenhower and say that there's flying saucers over the White House and come back and say it's not true. I actually have this really great booklet. I don't think it's published digitally that somebody gave to me about they have some sort of evidence or an idea that there was a message that they got from the government that said, don't send this out. Take it back. Retract it. I think they found that somewhere. Like, there's some really hardcore evidence for Roswell once you get deep. And it's not just one little piece. You'll be like, all right, I'm done with it. There's no way that happened. I've been through that many, many times. I'm like, that's not true. But it stood the test of time. And one day, we're going to be able to say it was real, just like the JFK files back. Oh, no, there's nothing going on there. Oh, yeah, we're close now. It's taken a long time. And now mainstream people want those files, those JFK files. Yeah. 20 years ago, you were crazy to think that something like that was going on. And so anyway, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but yeah, we got to keep pushing. They know this is one that you can't shake off. This is one that a lot of big players, like they'll say they're not going to shake it off. Like John Greenwald won't shake it off.
Yeah.
Blackfall.
Well,
right?
because it is the bad news bears.
All right.
Yeah, it is the bad news bears of cover-ups. It's like, let's say it's this. Let's throw foil. Now it's not foil. Let's throw a balloon. It's not a balloon. You made it all up. I mean, what else are they going to throw? Everything but the kitchen sink? At some point, you're like, let's wait till the next round of explanation on this. Because the balloon and the foil didn't match. The foil probably came from Dollar General. I mean, it was not material. It was foil. Yes, Fort.
It was a party balloon from
Hold on,
someone's
we're
birthday.
Forky recognizes. Hold on.
Because what's important is the evidence.
Forky recognizes Amy. Amy.
Just one second. I'll be done after this.
No, go.
The evidence of a cover-up with Roswell is enough evidence to keep going. I'm done. It's obviously covered up.
I love it.
there's little things everywhere going wrong. Maybe nothing happened, sure, but I can tell you covered something up. I don't know what happened, but like the deception.
Yeah, and then you got to ask yourself, why would you cover it up? And you can't say it was some spy balloon, can you? I mean, come on, we're not that. That's the thing. They immediately take you for stupid, and that's the problem I have with it all. You know, they immediately think, well, you're civilians. What do you know? You know, we haven't got the intellect to think, you know, a little bit wider and larger. No, not at all. Not any of us. You know, we're all just these dumb things that just, if you tell us it's a loaf of bread that fell out of the sky, we're going to believe it.
So, okay, not that badly. So Dorothy,
Well, but it might as well be, because it's all balls, isn't it?
Well, I mean, they obviously think we're stupid because they keep changing the story, and we just have to sit there and go, okay, it's a balloon now. Oh, never mind, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. Dorothy, do you have any additional thoughts? I mean, this is again the OG. I love that you brought this in because
yes,
there's no story without this. This is part of it.
Yeah, I'm curious about the populations that these things are happening to. They seem to happen to a lot of military people, military families. They happen to diplomats and dignitaries, you know, people that are known in the world. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm not really one of them, but I'm, you know, like 6 degrees of separation from them, I guess, you know, or something. And so it's like, okay, well, my dad was always an aviator, and I went and saw cool experimental aircraft as a child and learned how to fly. And then I saw what I thought were the Jetson cars one night. So that's a whole story on its own, and I'm not hogging the stage, so I'm out on this one. But Roswell was the start of the whole darn thing.
Olivia the Hammond. Dorothy out. I love these mic drop moments we're having. Amy's like, I'm not going anywhere. I love Roswell. Boom. Dorothy's like, boom. So now we're going to go to Mr. Tim Seanor. Then we're going to go to Terry, and Lee's got some stuff too. So we're going to keep rolling. Tammy, you sent me a video before the show. How would you like to present your case today? And welcome.
I can thank you. I will quickly set it up, and then you can show the video. You don't have to show all of it. It might be a little long, but feel free to. I think you can see how long it is there.
I actually have the video, and again, I'm not gonna play it in full because again, copyright, and this is for you. You know, we're just gonna show visuals, but talk us through first before I do it what we're about to see. Tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, so about 8 years ago, Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 disappeared, and it is thought that the aircraft could potentially have been deliberately downed by its pilots in some mass suicide sort of thinking. Other thoughts were that there was some engine trouble and perhaps it actually was on fire for a moment. Other theories are that it just disappeared, but there was debris that was recovered, I believe like 3 or 4 years later, from a beachcomber that found some debris potentially from the plane. And so one theory is, though, that it encountered something mysterious in the skies. And the video that we are about to see is drone footage, potentially, of what happened. And there's actually 2 different angles, 2 different sources for the video, if you will. One thermal FLIR cam from the MQ-1L drone, which was retired in 2018. And then the second's coming from an unknown spectator from the ground. And so we can just go ahead and play this footage now. Now, again, I can't verify this as being real or not. We are, in fact, looking and using our sources to verify this right now. But it's incredible footage.
So we are, again, we're just looking at stuff. This is part of the research. It is, especially for you, Tim. Go ahead. I mean, you're fascinated by this topic. So this
so this is footage now, FLIR footage from the drone of the airline plane. As you can see, it's now being swarmed by objects that are leaving a trail of some sort. And as we follow this flight on, it appears that some sort of interaction takes place. And in fact, they capture the moment when the plane itself just completely vanishes.
But where? Okay, I need. Okay, hold on. Did it
And
just?
so we'll go further into the video here, and you can see the second perspective from the
So
ground.
it poofed. It literally poofed.
It disappears in this video, yeah.
Where did you? I'm sorry. Go back. So that
So
video.
Feel free to continue this. That's just explaining.
Yeah, it's still planing. Yeah, it's still
Yeah,
planing.
so that was explaining how the camera was located on the side of the drone. It's giving a description here of the plane, how they are fairly sure that it is the same plane. The heat source underneath the belly there is potentially showing an engine that could have been in distress, potentially flames. And so there's a lot of questions also behind the intent, perhaps even here. Were the UAP aware of the plane being in distress and maybe zapped it out before it crashed, and then took the humans off and then put it back somewhere, and that's the debris we find? Who knows? They never found bodies. Now, another thought, is that this is somehow a deep fake. And so let's not discount the fact that this all could be a fake. I've had some video pros look at this, and he knew this plane fairly well and thought that there should be a heat source somewhere near the back of this plane in particular. Now, that doesn't necessarily alert us this being a fake. It just is a note. And so we'll go to the second. This next piece of footage that is coming up is actually fairly compelling because it's a wide shot taken from the ground, and that is extremely compelling because it matches this piece right here. It matches up perfectly with the FLIR footage, and so whoever put this video together did an excellent job. That black thing in the foreground was actually their mouse indicator. And so we can see now the UAP coming in and swarming the first one. And so if this was faked, there's quite a lot of work. And so it's baffled all of my guys, but it is being verified by somebody that would know at this point.
Hey, Tim.
Yeah.
Does this remind you? Does this remind you of the Ben Hansen stuff? The Ben Hansen, the racetrack. UAP.
Absolutely.
Cases.
The way they're swirling around.
This is exactly what they're not swirling around his plane, but there was like 3 swirling around, and that poof too. Okay.
Poof. Yeah, it captures the moment where it
that
poofs.
is the technical term, chat. At Mindforked, we called it poof.
Yeah, that's all poof.
Very
compelling.
Interesting. Is there anything else in there that I needed? That's it. Right?
No, that's primarily it. I do have details. If people have questions, I can probably answer them. But please, I see Lee with his fork up there.
Lee, you've been recognized, Lee G. Go ahead.
Hurrah! Hurrah!
Thank you, man.
I just want to pick up on the point of the deep fake thing, right? Because, like I say, with nowadays tech, that I get it would be a lot of work, but if someone's determined enough to create a sensational piece of artwork or whatever, they do go to extremes, and we've seen that before in other things, haven't we? And things have been debunked before because they were faked, right? So I do hold myself a little bit of that, but to me it is pretty intriguing. What I find nuts is the disappearing part, because you would have thought if someone was going to do something a little bit sensational, that'd have been a bit different, if you know what I mean. It wouldn't have been so simple. Do you know what I mean? It seems more realistic because it's so simple.
Yeah.
Rather than overcomplicated or over flashy. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm explaining myself right.
It looks so
it looks so innocently normal. It looks like the drones there flying, following this plane, and these things come in for some reason. Like you say, you see that heat source there, and it does look authentic to me. It looks,
and the trails.
The trails of the things going round it. That's a lot of work. Well, I mean, I've watched, me and my friend, my mate, we do a little bit of video and mucking around and stuff. He just likes to put lasers in gunshots and stuff like that. And the amount of work you have to do frame by frame is what people don't understand, because you can't just put something in and then move to the next frame, because then that thing's not in the right place. You have to, you know, and you have to zoom into the shot really close as well to make it. The amount of work in that, you have it's just, that'd be thousands of hours of work.
That would be
right there,
really
what we
hard.
just saw
That'd be
in
really
that
hard.
clip.
Yeah.
Oh, super hard.
Amy,
you guys
It can be done. It can be
Amy,
done.
you want to pipe in? Dorothy, Amy, have you guys seen it? I'll get to you, Terry, but Dorothy and Amy, have you guys seen this before? What are your thoughts? And chat room, please tell us.
I do, but Dorothy can go first if she wants.
Who wants the fork? Poor
I'm
Dorothy.
so confused. Oh,
I didn't mean for you. I said, who wants the fork? I didn't mean for you to like raise it. It's okay. Dorothy, you go first, and then Amy, and then Terry.
well, quite frankly, I'm distracted by my cat, so I'll listen to other people's comments and then I'll make up one based on what they said. Okay.
Okay, that sounds great. We won't tell anyone, Dorothy, between you and me. Shh. Amy. Dorothy
Yes.
recognizes Amy.
Fantastic. I just want to talk about the validity of footage real quick. Because you've got this footage, Tim, and when I'm looking at it, what I see is I see something that I heard a lot about with Ben Hansen, like Chris is saying here, with the lights. And not just Ben Hansen. It's fun to have these little forks. It's not just Ben Hansen. I found like the most one I could. It's not just Ben Hansen. These twirling things, and it's not like random UFO videos on YouTube or anything. It's not. There are multiple like documented in newspaper pilots I've seen of a lot talking about the swirls. Right? And like, let's just, I mean, I'm going to take a leap here, but why not? It's ufology. You have the Foo Fighters too, right? The point being is the legitimacy of the footage. Okay. And I think what's interesting is in UFO studies, as time goes on, we kind of see what we've learned. Maybe that, you know, we haven't been able to identify. Right. And like when we look at stuff like this, it looks real to me. There's something going on here. And so in my brain, I've said this is real. And the reason I think it's real is because of this Ben Hansen stuff that's going on. I've read a lot of accounts of pilots saying they got the orbs, these circular items. Okay, I'm going to go with that. That feels solid. That's a solid little thing to roll on. Okay, and so I don't know what's going on with that, but I have felt the same way about other things in the past. Flying humanoids. Now we have Rocket Man. Now we're totally like flying humanoids 20 years ago. What's that flying humanoid? Ah! Right? Now we're like, oh, some guy's just driving his jetpack. Like that's an everyday thing. That's like an everyday thing, right? Or it gets on the news and people say, oh, that's totally possible that technology. The other thing I saw a lot on YouTube videos like 10 years ago was these spirals. Everybody thought it was these vortexes into the next dimension and where we go. And it turns out like it was just some secret tech that they use now because SpaceX does that when they put the rockets out. There's a spiral after. Maybe not. I don't know. But the point being is I think this footage is legit. So I think the footage is legit. I just have this.
It gave me the chills a little bit. It's like, especially when you see the two different views, because that again, that reminds me of all the comparisons in
And that's what I said
in
about how
different
much work it would
pilots
take.
seeing the same thing from different venture points at the same time, right, Lee and Terry? Terry,
No.
you haven't said much. I want Terry to say something. Talk to us, Terry.
This
What
one,
you
as soon as it came out, as soon as it came out, it was presented to me. And I was told to watch this immediately, which I did. It blew me out of my chair, honestly. And then I get a phone call 5 minutes later telling me, why do you think I sent this to you? And I said, to blow my socks off. And he said, this is a deep fake. The person told me it's a deep fake, that they know the technology that was used to make it, the they could reproduce it on their own in their own studio. So I'm having to stay mum on this one. To me, when I saw it, and still when I watch it to this day, not knowing how someone could put something like this together, to me it's phenomenal. And I thought that the black and white part of it was the reason that they showed it to me was I thought it was military tech that had tracked the plane, and then on top of that it was a satellite that had picked it up. I thought the black and white part of that wasn't shot from the ground. I thought it was satellite footage. So for me, being told by a film expert that it's something that they could recreate and that it's a deep fake, I'm just having to stay mum on this one.
Yeah, and go ahead, Tim. I mean,
Well,
I have a thought on that because I like to dig deeper, but go ahead, Tim.
No, and that is exactly why this was my favorite of the year. Because if it is a fake, it's fantastic. But at the same rate, it should also get out there, so people are like aware, that it can be this good. It can look like it's coming from a military source. Now, I'm not saying 100% yes, I'm sure this is fake. I could be wrong. My source could be wrong. Terry's source could be wrong, telling him that this is fake, right? But my point is just simple that there are definitely people out there, and who knows who they are and what their motivation is. Because let's not forget, they've been using the UFO topic for black budget programs since the beginning of the Air Force. And now we have the Space Force. And so they have endless supply of geniuses and funds. So if they wanted to spread something through YouTube that could make us think something one way or another, they could easily do it. And they would do it this way, So
misdirection, card tricks.
Yeah.
Yeah, or it could be real. It could be real. Remember, this is the Malaysia flight that there were real people on there, and they real families. So let's be very delicate about this topic.
Thank
anyway.
you. Yeah, we deal with this on Forensic Mystics. We got to be really careful. These are real people. This,
we don't want the families
this
thinking
horrible event happened.
Family members were abducted, or
Exactly. So, but we're just evaluating data because that is what it takes to be able to get to the truth. I mean, if we leave stones unturned, we got to be able to look at them with no bias. Could be something, it could be nothing. That's what we're here to do. So with that, Terry, you want to go next? Because I want to make sure I leave enough time because Lee has something that he's going to be sharing with us here of something special. So Terry.
Can I say one thing with my fork up before you do that?
Recognized.
All right. Okay. So it's just really a shame that people didn't have this or the pink version of this.
Hold on. Let me put you on the screen here.
I'm trying to put it into the screen.
We see it.
Yeah. Cheryl and Linda Costa have done an incredible job coalescing the MUFON and NUFORC reports into one reference book. All you scientific people, if you don't get this book, I don't know what your problem is. You say you want to analyze what's already been done. They've got it for you in one convenient reference. There you go.
Thank you. Very good point. Cheryl is such a great resource. I mean, her books, the stuff that she's putting out, there's all data driven. She is freaking fantastic. So thank you, Dorothy. I love having you guys here. This is such a nice afternoon. So let's keep it rolling. So Terry Hall, our cosmic counselor, who we also met in Vernal, where we met all the folks from Skinwalker Ranch and Blind Frog Ranch and all that stuff. Talk to us, Terry. What keeps you hanging on? That sounds like a song. Keep me hanging on. Terry.
That was the start of a pretty long journey so far, but the one that brings me back and keeps me grounded, matter of fact, the whole town still celebrates this sighting, is the McMinnville UFO, the Trent UFO. The painting right above my head, which was gifted to me by a very good friend, Mr. Seanor. This UFO came out of the east. It was taken, two of the most famous photographs of a UFO were taken out of a Browning box camera. Now, if you understand what that is, it's not the type of camera that you can manipulate. You can't manipulate the film. You can't do double shots with it, overlay shots with it. And it was broken down by, if anybody still remembers the company Polaroid, who made all the film.
Yeah.
The photograph was actually broken down by Polaroid. It was broken down by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Like I said, to this day, McMinnville, Oregon shuts down, and they celebrate this. The UFO came out of the east. It slowed down over the farm, which allowed Mr. Trent to take 2 photographs of it. Very, very clear, undeniable photographs. And I've spoken with Evelyn Trent. As a matter of fact, oddly enough, I own the Trent property. I purchased the Trent property unknowingly at the time that it was the Trent property, but as it turned out, that's exactly where my farm's at. I own the Trent property. I spoke with Evelyn, Miss Trent, and she said that it came over the farm, it paused, and then when it took off, it was the fastest thing that she had ever seen. She still, when I spoke to her, she was in her 70s. There was no hesitation in her story. Everything was backed up, and this still to this day has yet to be debunked. This was one of the very first, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, UFOs.
I'm trying to find a picture real quick.
There's a picture.
Oh, there we go. You got.
Yeah,
Let me put you on big screen. Hold on a second, my friend. And he's going over here.
got reflection there.
The picture. It's got a little bit of reflection, but there we go. You can see it. Yeah, just look up. That's a beautiful picture. You gave that to him, Tim?
Yeah,
Well,
and
So nice.
it's so
I tell you
ironic.
what.
He owns the property
That's true.
this famous UFO sighting
This is
took place at.
crazy, Terry. That
Yeah.
you
Not
own the
only do
property
I
that
own
one
it-
of the most famous UFO cases ever.
Not only do I own the Trent property, but I'm sitting in a research vehicle that we use to investigate UFOs, and that started this. General curiosity led to one thing, which led to all of us meeting in Vernal, and then the idea for the research vehicle also came from that trip to Vernal. The synchronicities that are involved with the Trent UFO just keep me going.
That's so crazy because Amy, myself, Lynn, Terry, and Tim all came together out of freaking nowhere. Like we met in Vernal and we immediately connected. It was the craziest thing. We were like went from not even knowing who each other was to having these deep conversations and being like best friends and hanging out the entire conference and like hanging out with Paul Hynek, and all these Project Starlight came out of that. I mean, so many ideas. I mean,
that was like old home.
us all.
Yeah, that was like old home week. That was the best, most informative conference. Matter of fact, honestly, that was the first conference I'd ever gone to. And I've been to a couple since then, and that one still ranks number 1 to me.
So let's do a round robin on this, guys. McMinnville, who wants to go next? Lee, I'm going to start with you and then go kind of loop around.
I've
Thoughts
missed
on
loads.
this
I
one
had to
before
pop
you
out.
go on yours.
I've just missed loads. I had to pop out.
Oh, okay, no problem. This is
So,
the
so
McMinnville.
move
We're
to
going to get
someone
back.
else, and I'll try and
That's
pick
fine.
up what you're going on
That's
about.
fine. We got a fork race. Tim Seanor, go ahead.
I'll fork this. Well, so Terry kind of met because of that sighting as well, right? And I was so encouraged by his enthusiasm and his knowledge. Like I was looking to go deeper. And so we decided to basically get an RV, fill it with gear, and go to hotspots. And right now it's sitting there parked at the Trent property through the winter. I'm trying to get our cameras up live. And the idea is that we have cameras in the skies 24/7, 365 days a year. And not only can the researchers on our team go and check it out, but the public can go to the YouTube website and look at the live stream all the time. And you can see the same skies that they were looking at when the Trent photograph took place. And you can be with us in McMinnville, Oregon, and you can drop, if you see something in the sky in one of the 12 cameras, you can drop it in the notes and put a timestamp, and you can get credit for a UFO sighting if we get one. And so that's really what it's all about. It's getting everyone involved, excited, right? Because, you know, it's Terry's passion and excitement that bleeds through into these projects. And really, that's what it's all about. We're just out there trying to like get a better look, right? So we're looking into multiple spectrums. We've got great lenses out there. And that is the idea of that project. And of course, we're going mobile. As soon as the weather changes, we've got a sweet team put together. You know, we're looking at stuff with radar, multi-spectrum cameras, and we are about the data and all that. But at the same rate, there's the consciousness connection that we're all really into. You know, there's so much to this, and it's not just, you know, tech. It's not all tech. It's the consciousness behind the tech that we're really interested in. It's the bodies in the craft, not the craft, for us, I think, at least.
No, we are so excited about these research teams that are kicking off, and people like taking on, you know, it's like, let's stop waiting for others. Let's, you know, do it ourselves. You got the Crusher crew, you know, Carl the Crusher and Chris Lato and Chris Bartell over there doing their thing. We got you guys out there. I just love to be able to connect with these research teams that go out there. Amy, do you have any thoughts on McMinnville and Vernal, whatever you want to talk about? Let's go through round robin.
Yes, I do. I have a lot of Vernal was easily the best conference of 2022. I'm sorry for everybody who didn't go, but it's okay. It's like one of those certain times, certain place. You know, like I think, like when I think back to UFO conferences, I think the last one that ever felt that way, and I wasn't at that one, which makes me realize it was the best one. And I don't know.
I felt I really bonded with all of you because you took us all along to Vernal with you.
Yes, that's the fun part. I just go live from my phone. Woo! We go have adventure time.
And we're going to do it again. We're about to do it again, aren't we?
That with your new iPhone as well. You got your new iPhone at that point as well, didn't you?
My new iPhone. But I think like Contact in the Desert 2019, I never went to Contact in the Desert. I think that was a special Contact. That's when people were really trying to deep into space and kind of go, that was before 2020, right? That was before kind of everybody got techie. A lot of people got more techie, less conscious-y, right? After 2020. So like Contact in the Desert 2019 will always be like this Woodstock I never got to go to. But I felt that way at Vernal, like hands down. We all thought Avi was going to be there. He wasn't.
Oh my God. That was so sad.
I was thinking
we were all like, what?
I was like, we all thought we were going to be like, oh, but we got the rest. I mean, and then not the fight. I have to get more. The constructive debate that him and Jaime had was awesome.
Oh, that was so cute.
That was
like
I was like,
a fight of rhetoric. It was a rhetoric battle at a different level, but it was it was cool, but it was like, you could tell that they were like, the moods are going up. Okay.
But with haters, yeah.
So, so Dorothy, you're good. Anybody else on Vernal? Because we want to hear, we got one more, and Lee's got some special stuff that he's going to be sharing with us. Any other thoughts?
I have one more thing about Vernal.
Yes.
And this ties everything in. It was an evening we went out for a research trip to Vernal, to the Uinta Basin. It was an evening. It was 11:11 p.m. I get a call from someone in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Asked me what direction I was facing, and I told him I'm sitting in the RV. I'll make this short. He said, go outside and look to your north. I went outside and looked to my north, and sure enough, there's 4 orbs in the sky. The guy called me from Canada to what, close to 2,000 miles away in Utah to tell me to go outside and look for this UFO that was there that we documented. Now that ties it all together. There's your consciousness connection. There's your UFOs, and this one was undeniable. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Matter of fact, we got it recorded on several cameras that evening.
Mind blown.
That's the Mindforked right there.
That's the Mindforked. That's the Mindforked moment right there. We're about to have another. So, okay. So, the floor recognizes Lee G. You've been forked. Lee G.
Dun, dun,
Dun, dun, dun. So, Lee, do you want to kind of set us up of what, and I'm going to show the video, the two videos, and in the order we talked about. So set us up.
You don't need to worry about the moon. I'll get rid of that one.
Yeah,
I was
do the
just
other
me
two.
showing you. I filmed the moon going across the sky.
Mhm.
Anyway, to reference, I mean, you know, there's all these deep fakes now and stuff like that we got to worry about as well. But you know, I think when you see something in physicality yourself, that's when if we're talking about being grounded, because this is about what grounds you to it and what makes you continue interest in it. The things that has always made me grounded and interested in it was, of course, we all heard the Bob Lazar thing. We all hear those stories and stuff, and that sort of like either reinforces you or makes you skeptical. But when you're a kid and you realize something that you thought was normal, and then when you're an adult you realize that wasn't normal, that's what grounds me. So basically from a young age, when I was like, I don't know, 6, my brother was 9, 6, 7, 8. No, he was 8. We used to run away a lot, and we used to keep having what we thought was the moon following us. So we used to try and run and get away and hide from it. What we discovered later in life is this place that we used to always get. We always used to take this same route. And when we took this same route, in adulthood, we realised that it couldn't have been the moon, because the moon never comes up in that part of the sky. It always travelled across the opposite part of the sky. So in later life, I realised, and he realised, that it couldn't have been the moon that was following us, because it was not in that. It doesn't ever appear in that part of the sky. So that's the grounding part for me. Mm-hmm. After that, I've seen up to, well, I've included this one, the moon thing in my list of things that I've seen. But to date, I've got 7 things that I've seen that I would say are anomalous, that I can't say. I can't say it was an aircraft or a drone, or because it's unidentifiable. You know, so
I'm gonna go ahead and add it.
And this is the last one that I had was this. I stepped outside of my door and looked left, and I saw this thing moving, grabbed my video camera, ran out to the front of my house and started filming. So it is in my hand, so it's a bit wobbly, and the aperture is a diamond shape. So the diamond shape that you see is the aperture of the camera, obviously, you know, basically the opening and closing of the lens. So, and you'll see that with another piece of footage with a helicopter to show you how loud helicopters are above my house, because this is pretty much above my house.
Yeah, we're going to show that for perspective after we show this full video.
It's a no-fly zone sort of thing as well, because there's ambulance helicopters that fly across my house and police helicopters that fly around my house. We don't have aeroplanes that fly across. It's only military or police or ambulance.
This is where it starts to get interesting, right, Lee? Make sure you call it out as it comes.
I took the light there, so you had perspective of where it is in the sky, and it's that drop there that gets me.
Yeah, because the light was not moving. That's the lens flare from the lamp.
There's no FAA lights either, if you notice.
And it's moving. You can tell right there.
I've never shown anybody this, by the way, as well. Only backstage.
I know. And I appreciate you bringing it here and showing us. And I'm gonna let it play, because I'm gonna let this play, and then we're gonna show. I silenced this, but I'm gonna go ahead and put the volume. going to turn it down a little bit. You get background noise. So this is just a normal sound.
This was only about a year and a
Yes, you
half
were
ago. It's
recording
about
it.
2 years ago, maybe.
So you hear the traffic.
This is about 2 o'clock in the morning, by the way, guys.
There was no sound coming from the sky.
Nothing.
It seems
There's-
very deliberate.
There's no blinking light.
What was the camera again, Lee?
Where's my camera?
Like moving everywhere.
It's amazing.
Lee, I've got a friend. We all have a friend. As a matter of fact, he's sitting on a panel with us right now, who occasionally
went behind the houses everywhere.
picks stuff like this up all the. Well, he picks stuff like this up all the time,
Look at
and
this.
it's
Yeah.
almost like he's got a calling for it. What brought you to be outside at 2 a.m. to record
I
this?
do it all the time. I'll go outside and I'll just look at the sky. I do it all the time.
This
but
is
for
first
some reason,
floor,
I
he's
just
always
had
up.
to go out. This is the camera.
Wow.
Amazing.
How long did it stay out there total?
Yeah, that was a reflection. in
Well, like I say, I
someone's window,
walked
that bit
outside of
there.
my door, looked
Quite
left,
weird, isn't it?
and looked up, and it was
Stealthy
there, and I saw it
trick, yeah.
just slightly moving. So I grabbed my camera and ran out to the front of my house
It's
because
like
I
in
knew
the
it was going to
sky,
come
but it's
across.
actually a reflection in
So I
the
ran
window
out to
and
the
that
front
light
with this, but I
reflected
didn't
yellow.
have the stand on it.
Right.
So that's
Lee,
the
is it
thing.
like you got? Is it like you were sitting there and it's like, hey, I think I
Yep.
better go outside?
Yep. It was definitely mental, and I had that on another occasion as well. All of these I've got the thing is, right. That was a nutty thing, right, and I managed to record it, right. But the craziest thing that happened to me was at fishing with my friend Lance. I was telling Chris about it earlier. I'm literally looking at the tip of my rod, you know, because you're looking at the tip of your rod to wait for the bite. And I'm in mid-conversation with my friend, and he's about, I don't know, 20 meters away, you know, because you have separation. And we're talking away. I looked at the top of my rod, and I look up, and there's this big white orb that comes across like this, really slow, and it's like liquid light moving inside. You know, like I was saying to Chris, you know, like when you blow a bubble with washing up liquid, and you've got all those moving colours inside it, you know, because it's only one atom thick sort of thing, and you've got you can see the moving colours. Well, imagine light doing that. It was like this light ball that came across, and if I put my hands up, it was like the size of a basketball, you know. But I couldn't tell distance. It looked far away, but it looked close. It was really weird. So I'm shouting to my mate, and we've just been talking. I said, Lance, look at this, Mush, look at this. And there's no answer from him. I said, Lance. And we were literally talking seconds earlier. And I'm like, why didn't he look? So I've sort of walked over towards him as I'm still looking at it. And I'll push his bivvy. He had a bivvy, you know, like a tent, right? Like his tent you sit in. And I'm knocking the bivvy, and he's still not answering them. So I've looked at him for about a billionth of a second, like you do, just to look at him to see what he's doing. And he's asleep, and I've pushed him, and I said, look, Mush. And I pointed my finger, and as I'm pointing my finger, it's gone. And I'm like, I was so raging. But the actual light was, like I said, that liquidy light thing, and it was weird. Wasn't emitting light, though. You know, like when the moon's, you see the moon reflecting on the ocean. I mean, this thing came across onto the ocean because we were right. It was a big car park, and then bars basically, and then the ocean, right? And we were fishing over the bars into the ocean. It would have reflected off of no reflection, no light, no emittance of light. It was just liquidy light. It just held inside it. It was like, what the?
Wow.
And that is the one that actually
That's a trip.
that doesn't
That
ground
is a
me,
trip.
blows me mind. And
That's what keeps you
I don't really
grounded.
talk about. I've never really spoke about it. Really, this is the first time I've sort of gone on about it. But I've got another couple of stories that are like
Thanks,
that as well.
Lee. Wow.
But,
Lee, those and I really do think there's something like to the repeatability of experience, like people that experience over and over. And you know, it's like they say quantum entanglement, right? Once one becomes aware of the other and one becomes aware of this one, it's like they're linked beyond space and time. And it's like it starts to make sense that certain people are just more connected, and they're like, it happens. And when Lee was talking to me about all his experiences, I'm like, holy crap, this goes back way when you were young. So any thoughts, panel, please, let's talk, because this is so awesome. Thank you.
Can I just finish on saying,
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
talking
I
about
didn't mean to cut you off.
the groundedness, when you see something like that, like I said, and it's not a video, and no one can tell you it's a deep fake, that's when belief sets in really strong, I think, because it's a proper experience. It's not someone telling you, it's not a story you've heard, it's you going outside and looking up and go, what is that, you know? And when you can't as well, you literally, to me, a UFO isn't straight to aliens with me. I've said this to Chris as well. I know I keep saying Chris, but I was saying this earlier. I'm not that guy that jumps straight to aliens. I'm the guy that jumps to, I wonder what that is. I wonder what tech it is. I just don't know what it is. Could it be the ball lightning thing? You don't know. But the groundingness, like I said, the thing that holds me to it is because I saw it. And no one else can tell me what it was that I saw. And all I can do is show you that footage, and you'll look at the footage and go, wow, it could be a drone, it could be this, it could be that. Well, for a start, the place I live, if you got caught with a drone, you're going to prison for about 20 years, I should suspect, because it's just, you got, like I said, there's an airport close, right? But there's a hospital close as well. But the flight paths to the airport, I know the flight paths in and out. I live here. I know where we've got Marchwood, which is an army base, and we have helicopters that come across. Why. And I've filmed.
Yeah, I want to add.
So I'm
going to show that video real quick so you can see, because he actually took a video of what he's used to seeing. Yeah,
but I'm going to do that. But again, look at the aperture as well. Remember the aperture, right? So you've got the aperture, but listen to how loud this helicopter is. That is. Flashing lights.
That's mad.
Yeah. So that's like for perspective, so you can see it's a no-fly zone. He knows the area. He knows what things sound like. This was different. Yeah. So round robin, Tim.
Lee, I love this experience that you had. I love that it connects you. It's great footage, by the way. I consider that really good footage. It's so hard to capture a UFO, period. And I have the best tech I can possibly get as a prosumer, and it's still impossible to capture. And I can be totally prepared, see it, and still not capture a beautiful image. So what you captured there depicts your experience. I think it's fantastic, because if you're able to capture the experience, that's what it's about. The image is kind of second almost to you just being able to like have that, and then it relates it to you. It's for you. Because I know my first experience in 2019 was just still shots. There were 11 of them, but it recalls that experience to me every time. It takes me right back there, and it grounds me. It reconnects me to the fact that there is something else, and nobody, no matter what they say, can convince me otherwise.
Yeah, I'm the same as that. I can't be convinced that it's just a drone, because for a start, again, no FAA lights on it, which all drones have, and you'd see them flashing the same as I've seen drones, and not to mention the fact that you fly them at night, you have to have, number one, a special license. Number two, you're near a hospital. There's no way they're going to allow you to do that around there. There's certain areas in our country where you have to go and be in a specific place where you can fly your drones. You're not allowed to just fly them anywhere you like. I mean, yes, okay, you could say it could be a drug dealer, dropping off some drugs or something like that. All right, okay, but that's an extreme maybe, but the likelihood of that is pretty slim, isn't it? And to see, and that's not the first one I've seen across my house. I filmed another one as well on my mobile phone, but that one's very brief. But
we're so happy you presented this. Thank you. Go ahead.
Long.
We loved
When
it.
well, you want to know why I'm interested in it and why I end up making things like that.
Yeah, there we go. Show,
Yeah.
let's show them the, let me put you over here and show them the spaceship. Everybody can see the spaceship. That's why he has aliens in his, he does a music show, yet he has aliens all over his screen. And now you know.
That's great.
That's why.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm kind of a weirdo.
oh, that's not a weirdo. We're all crazy.
it's
We
cool.
already determined this. Amy, any thoughts on anything right now before we start closing? Exciting, exactly.
That's amazing. And I know I've gotten drawn into it. I've seen more things, and yeah, they're coming for us, you guys. See, the more I go down it, I think they kind of say hi. I think they were saying hi, Lee. They do it to me too.
Well, I mean, like the whole Lance thing, right? With him talking to me, not 11 seconds before I called him, and we were in deep conversation. And within the next, I mean, what's that about? Was there, you these stories of like lost time and stuff like that. I didn't experience that because I didn't look at any watch or anything like that, so I wouldn't have even known if I had, right? But what if that was the case, that for some reason, the reason why maybe he was knocked out, sort of thing. You open your
like, why were you aware but he wasn't? Yeah, it's like he wasn't aware of the exact thing you were.
And he wasn't allowed to be. It's like he wasn't allowed to be aware of it because as
But
soon
we've
as
heard these
he
stories.
awoke,
Yeah.
and I'm still pointing at it, saying, "Look, Lance," and I'm trying to look at it and wake him up, and he's not waking up, and I'm tapping, and then I've gone, Lance, and as I've looked at him, he's gone, what? And I've looked back, and it's not there, and I'm like.
Okay, Forky recognizes Dorothy wants to say something. Dorothy wants to say something. Dorothy, please speak now.
Hey, listen, coincidences can only happen so many times before you realize they're synchronicities. And I had a lot of that psychic action going on with my 3 sisters, okay? And my brother. It's like you're on a telepathic communication line when you have a big family that way. And it's happened with friends too. I have weird fantasy ideas that the earth changes we're going through are awakening long dormant instincts that other animals have in abundance, and we forgot long ago after we became civilized. And perhaps that's why
what I was saying earlier, the Chris
feels
as well.
this thing happening, Just speculations, always speculation.
We've been clouded on
I'm
purpose.
fine with that.
I think we've been dampened down on purpose, so we don't.
Okay, the floor recognizes Terry Hall. Terry,
that brings us to another
scissors.
That brings us, here, I'll show you I'd show you my tongue because it's forked. But anyway,
no.
This brings us back to something that's going on now. At the conferences that I've been to, I noticed that it was a nearly 50-50 split of people who've been involved with this for the majority of their lives, and then other people who've just barely been brought into this around 2017, about 5 to 6 years ago. And for me, I think that some people are being brought into this purposely for a skill set that they possess. You're talking about synchronicities, Dorothy. When we started putting this project together that Tim and I are working on, it's gone past synchronicity to synergy. What I thought was originally our idea, I'm almost being brought to the fact that we've been guided into doing this so we can present empirical evidence, something that can be vetted, torn apart, and proven that these things are real. The other part about it is some of the people that are being brought into this, this almost destroys a person. If their whole world's been black and white, and they've been told their whole life UFOs don't exist, Bigfoot doesn't exist, vampires and mummies and werewolves don't exist. Well, you see a UFO, and then you have to stop and think, for somebody like that sees a UFO and their entire world goes gray in a half a second, what does that do to a person?
It makes me wonder what's been taught for the last 50 years in schools that people are still not really examining their own belief structures and their own thinking and staying curious and like, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm older that I came from the time period when flying craft was the coolest thing and we were going to the moon, man. We were all excited, and so the idea of when you were young, in my time, it was like you can be anything you want to be. You just have to work for it. You have to chase after it,
I'm part of that
you can
generation,
get
Dorothy.
there. You just keep working at it, That's
Exactly.
the way I
I
was
think
raised, kind of thing,
I, th- I think we're all being awakened in different ways. I
True.
remember living in a world of immediacy for a long time where I never really bothered to question my reality. I really did. I mean, I was like in the corporate world, just like everybody else, just moving their widgets around and creating their programs and moving data from here to there and playing the corporate game and trying to get ahead. And, and then all of a sudden it's like something's different.
You got Mindforked.
That doesn't interest me anymore. I got Mindforked, and that's how Mindforked was born, because my mind got Mindforked by this topic.
That's how I've been since I was very, very young.
Me too.
I've been a deep thinker since I was really super young, and I don't know why. I never knew why. I always questioned everything. My teachers couldn't get on with me. I was always separate. I've always felt separate from everybody.
Why do you think
that's
it alienates?
the thing. Yeah, Tim.
Why does it
I mean, that's
alienate?
how everybody feels, right? I mean,
It's
everybody
bizarre.
feels this way. Yeah.
And it's because of the stigma, I think. And I know for me, so I'm relatively new. I didn't before my face-to-face experience in 2019, it wasn't even on my radar. I wasn't reading headlines about it. It wasn't in my work group. It wasn't coming up in my news feed. It wasn't coming up in anywhere that I was. And so for me, it wasn't in my reality, right? Until I was spanked with it. And then I was like, what is this? And it was totally paradigm shifting and
You
brutal.
picked the wrong term, buddy.
It was brutal.
You're sending the chat down the wrong. No, but I agree with
easy,
you.
you know?
I agree with you. I mean, I'm just, you're
So
so
I think that's the
passionate
way
about
it
this, and I
is.
met you in person. So
Yeah, and I think that's the way it is for a lot of people. Like, the reason that everyone's not talking about it is because it's just not even it's not real enough for them to even consider putting it in their everyday dialogue. They're not teaching their kids because it's not real to them. Like, I don't know how to elevate it for the individual. You almost have to have that experience. You have to have that disclosure, whatever that is. It has to come from your belief source. So if you're religious, it needs to come from that. If you're scientific, it needs to come from that source, whatever it is, or you need to experience it firsthand. But
mine's data driven. Mine's data driven. I can look at data from all the different angles and start to put this puzzle together. There's something going on.
Yeah.
Bigfoot's involved, multi-dimensions involved, potentially, there's a fork being raised. I'm coming to you, Lee. I mean, this is bigger. This is quantum realm. This is so big that not one person has all the answers. Go ahead, Lee. Sorry. I recognize myself and now I recognize you.
I just want to touch on something. I can't relay or explain to some people how I experience things or how I understand things, but I seem to only need the smallest amount of information about a particular subject, and my mind goes bang in a like a exponentially. So, and I've just for some reason I seem to just understand what someone's either saying or trying to explain before they've revealed it all, and then when they've revealed it all, I'm like, I feel like if I said to someone, they're just saying, "Yeah, you've just heard all that." You know what I mean? I feel like I don't want to get involved in a conversation sometimes because it sounds like I'm a know-it-all, and I even have been told that I'm a know-it-all because No, someone will only give me the
I know.
snippetest of a little piece of information. I'm talking science here as well. I'm talking when I had things like quantum physics. I couldn't re-explain it to you, what I hear or but it's like I understand it for some reason, and I don't know why I understand it. I wasn't very good at
Yeah.
school. I'm not academic in any way, shape, or form. I can't read music, and yet I've learnt music in the deepest of forms. And
Yeah,
I just
we've
don't.
all.
I don't know why. I understand carpentry in the deepest of forms. I've modelled things. I make things. I find solutions to things with things. So something breaks, I fix it. The other day, I've never fixed a cistern in my entire life. Never even put one together on it. I put one together and fitted it the other day.
Hey,
Just
sometimes
because I thought
inspiration comes.
I was going to
Yeah,
go.
who
I'd do
knows where
everything
this is
myself.
coming from? Who
I
knows
don't understand where it
this is
comes from
all
because I
coming
haven't
from?
learnt it. I haven't been
Hey,
taught anything.
I'm
Everything just comes
obsessed.
from. I don't understand.
I'm obsessed with structures that are in Turkey. I am obsessed with Pillar 43, Pillar 18, Pillar 32, Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah.
I somehow now understand what Sheldon was talking about in Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
I watched that
yeah.
freaking show for years. I never
Yeah.
got it. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, Sheldon's totally right. I don't understand. I don't know where this came from, but I somehow get it, and it's freaking me the heck out. And that's why
Are
we're having
we
this show. I'm
just
here to
as a
say I love this place. I love you guys.
just
I
as
love
a
this
point
topic.
of name? I mean, your name Akashi Chris. When I first started talking to you in the chat, what was one of the first things I said to you?
Why was I
Was
named?
about
Was I
was,
into Akashic
was,
Records?
was
Yeah.
about the Akashic record and about I think that inspiration and all those things. I think it's quantum. I think it's a quantum realm thing. It's a we are still in the mix with the quantum realm, and the inspiration knowledge is already there. That sometimes we interact, we cross the paths of the whatever field of information is there, whether it's frequency or whatever you want to call it, or particulates, and that mixes with brain with
Yeah.
the electrical impulses of the brain
Yeah.
and stuff, and
Yeah. I
quantum
wanna
physically it
make
entangles, and that's where entanglement comes into it. And I think that's where consciousness comes from, is because how do we don't really know. No one still can pinpoint where the first thought happens, how a first thought exists,
Yeah.
or where consciousness comes from. There's no pinpointing it. So how
Yeah.
do we how do we gain this inspiration of knowledge? Where did Tesla just all of a sudden think, oh, I can do this, and
We're
and
gonna have to
this
do an
happens?
Akashic Records show
It's
because
just
that is my freaking name, and I have never had a freaking show about the
absolutely.
Akashic Records. I can't believe I haven't done that.
Well,
That's
that's
gonna
why
be
I
next.
think
I
I
think
think
we're
that it
gonna
is
go
with
there.
me that's
Like,
happened
I wanted,
for
I
some
wanted
reason.
that. I need to hear something from my sister, my alien girl 111. Thoughts before we start, because I'm going to start saying goodbye because I don't want to
Okay.
take too much time out of my guests because you guys have been so wonderful. So I wanted like closing thoughts before you tell us. I'm going to put you on big screen. Closing
Perfect.
thoughts before you also tell us. Hold on, not you, Tim. For somehow poor Tim keeps popping up on the big screen. Okay, back to you, honey.
Thanks.
Amy?
I just want to say thank you so much for letting me come on this panel. I think we're digging towards something. Synchronicity to synergy. It's getting to a new level, you guys. For all of us here on the screen. It's going to a different level.
I really think we are.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and it's fun. We got to keep going out there doing the conferences. I'm very, 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 very excited about this work that that Tim and Terry are doing for a lot of different reasons. Recently, Avi Loeb said that we can't depend on government for the data. We need more private data from the people. We can't rest all of this. This isn't going to happen. We're not going to get the JFK files by just sitting back and listening to what the government says. And there, you know, we got to go find this data. We got to go find this information. Yeah, and it was just a wonderful day at Mindforked. A nice little walk down the 5D factual breakdown, wild quantum world of wherever we've been the last 2 hours.
No, I mean,
Thank you for
we
letting me
touched
come.
on so many. Thank you, Amy. I mean, we touched on so many cases and so many things, and the idea was, why are we here? And I think we are really telling the story of why we're still around, even though sometimes this can get freaking crazy. So, on that note, Dorothy Hawkins, thoughts, and then Amy will talk about where you're going to be next. Thoughts, Dorothy?
I want to thank you for allowing me to come on to this incredible panel. I think this is the wonderful way to help people understand a little bit more of the people who are experiencing things now as it relates to things that have happened in the past. And I think it's kind of important that we tie all this together for people who are brand new coming into this. So I'm so happy that you had me on, and what a fantastic group of people to hang out with. This has been so much fun. Thank you.
Right? It's like a nice afternoon. You guys have been so awesome. Let me bring in now. I'm going to put Timmy up there. Timmy. Oh, by the way, so Amy, you're next is Monday morning, right? Just
Yes,
or do you have a special like tomorrow morning?
Up early as usual, super early. I'm
Hold
excited
on.
to see you tomorrow, 5 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Be there.
Thank you.
Go.
I was like, go ahead, plug. Okay, back to Tim. Go, Tim.
No, not you. I meant go hit the.
I know what you meant, but it's
know what I
good.
meant.
Tim.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be on your show. I love all of you. It was nice to meet you. New faces. I have so much to learn from this group. I can tell. And honestly, I am new to this. And so everything I'm learning is from you. And so keep your show going. Dorothy, I watch you doing things. You're very active and knowledgeable. I have a ton to learn from you. And Alien Girl, I always rewatch your shows. I'm never there for your 5 a.m. show. I'm so sorry. I wish I could, but I love your show. It's so much fun. Terry, I will be over there soon. We'll get some cameras wired up and we'll hang out. And Lee, please keep jamming, brother. It is so great. I love your music. You're an inspiration to this community. And thank you for sharing your experiences, dude. It's awesome.
Thank you, Tim. And where are you on? When are you on next? Are you on Spaced Out Radio or something?
Yeah, I do the UFO report for Dave on Spaced Out Radio. I have a channel, but it's just for videos that I upload for fun. You guys can check out Anonymous Rex. That is my YouTube channel and my handle. If you ever see a little alien aiming a gun at you, that's
this
Anonymous
one.
Rex.
He's scary. He's scary. Actually, he's not. He's the sweetest. Met him in person. We love him. So the Cosmic Counselor, Terry Hall. So final
first I
thoughts
would
for today? Yes.
apologize for being late. Every time I jump into something like this, it seems like the people out there just mess up my internet. So,
No, sorry.
I just wanted to say thank you. Just wanted to say thank you for bringing me in. And this is important to have a community to where people like Tim, new people can come in and discuss this and be brought back down to ground and just to know that this is real. That this isn't something that's a joke anymore. This is real. Where it goes from here, I have no idea, but the synchronicities involved have gotten just incredible. It seems like every time we need something, it just falls in our lap. And meeting you guys in Vernal was the start of a journey that this last year has been the most incredible year of my life.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way, and it's for meeting, you guys and my sisters, Amy and Lynn, in person, and we made a connection that you just can't freaking break. So I'm breaking it. Okay, and last but not least, JD and Lenterman. Is that how he says it? It is Lee.
It's JD and Lenterman.
Oh, there we go. You see, whatever. Do it. Do your thing.
Well, my final thought is this. We don't know what they are. We haven't had anybody come and show us one in holding hands and talking to us. And even if we did, I don't think a lot of people are going to believe it anyway. They're going to think that's a fake. So the problem is, the only way I think that anything's going to come to a head sort of thing with belief is en masse. So, for instance, across the globe, that something happens across the globe that can't be questioned, that can't be argued. And that is the only time I think that everybody has an embracing of the whole subject. I think that's the only time that's ever going to happen. It's a shame. It's a shame. But, a lot of people just walk along with their blinkers on. And, like you were saying earlier, Chris, about you're in the corporate world. What do you care? And in the poorest countries, do you think they're thinking about things like this when all they care about is getting the next meal?
Survival.
I mean, we're very privileged here in the West. Where we wake up every day, we've got our food to eat, we've got our heat, we've got our roof over our head, we've got all these luxuries. We've got the luxury then of thinking externally from that. Most people on the planet haven't got this luxury. This is dreamland we live in.
Yeah,
where we can be dreamers and we can be inventors. They can't do these things in these other countries. They're not interested in all this. So unless something happened in front of people like that, say for instance something came down to the masses of a really poor nation, and fed them all, or cured them all, or housed them all, without asking for anything.
Yeah.
And without,
Exactly.
and or put up a power station that doesn't use the fossil fuels that everybody's worried about. Even though, there's nothing the poor people aren't going to worry about using fossil fuels because they.
Okay, I don't want to lose my guest. Do me a favor, man. Plug your show. Do it now. Plug your show.
I'm on Tuesday. I'm going to
kinda
write a
one-
piece of music, hopefully, if I'm in the right kind of frame of mind. Because on a Tuesday, I do Night Writer, which is, just a chance for me to let my hair down, sort of thing.
Let that hair down, and he's on
Write
with
a piece
Dog
of music for people
Danger.
like Amy, who had 19 tracks out of me. I mean, I don't know how she managed to get 19 out of me. I must have been lost my head.
She got so lucky. She got an entire album.
You're
I am
lucky if
holding
you got
a
one out of
song
me.
Golden
hostage.
handshake.
I
I
know
am
Dance
holding
S4
one
got
song
one track
hostage.
out of me.
I stole Incognito, and I'm
Yeah.
holding it hostage.
Yeah, you're a
He
musical
says,
thief. We all
"Blink
know this."
Incognito. If you need help, Incognito blinks. I don't care. And talk about Incognito. So I'm gonna play us off with my intro because it's Incognito. And you guys, it has been such a pleasure having
fun.
you guys on.
Thanks for having me on as well, though,
Thank
Chris.
you.
Thank you. And
I
nice to
love
meet you
all of
all
you.
Terry.
Thank you for
You
letting
too,
me know.
Lee.
Dorothy, Terry, Tim, Lee, Amy, you guys are, people were talking. Thank you, chat. I hadn't even been able to talk to you guys much because we've been so enthralled in the conversation, but it's just been an absolute pleasure. And what was I going to say? I even lost my train of thought because I was so excited. Why we're here is because
That's
we
because you're a
want answers.
professional, see?
We want
You're
our
a professional at
answers.
your job.
We want our answers, and we want people to be supported, and it doesn't matter how much it can suck sometimes. That juice is worth that squeeze as far as I'm freaking concerned. So I am going to leave it at that.
Ring
I
it
do
out
wanna
for all it's
plug-
got.
I don't care. It is worth the
little drips.
freaking squeeze. My boss always says, "Is the juice worth the squeeze?" I think it is, and a lot of people struggle. It's not just us. I'm
Be
gonna
careful
go
what
on
you're
and on.
squeezing. That's the
I
whole
don't
thing
care.
we got to worry about.
I can mute you because it's Mindforked. Anyway. He
Guess
gets to
what?
make
And I'll
the
get you
rules
back on Saturday, so no,
there
no.
we go. And guess who drives the graphics there? Moi. Okay. Back to us. Okay, you guys, I'm going to put you guys backstage.
Yeah, I'll stick around.
I have a plug to make. I have two. Forensic Mystics. We had a great show last week. Tomorrow we're going to be doing readings with Cassie. Next Sunday, you guys, I have Kelly Chase from the UFO Rabbit Hole podcast. She has her book. I don't have it here with me. It's at home because I'm here at the cabin, but I'm so excited. We are going to dig into the theories in Tom DeLonge's head. And I am so freaking excited. I am hoping you come in with a song at the end, Lee. Cassie's going to come in with a reading for Kelly. It's going to be a party next Sunday. So please join me there. So you guys, I love you all. I'm going to turn on Incognito. Backstage.
Well, I'm
I'll
staying
talk to you
under
guys
the
in a minute.
radar.
Stay in backstage for a minute. I want to say bye because I love you guys so much. So I'm going to start. Remove Lee, remove Tim. Bye, everybody. Bye. And Amy and Terry. Hold on. And I need to find you. And there you are, sister. Thank you. You guys, I love you so. I am going to play us off with Incognito. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Peace.